About your hometown and surrounding area. Tiger Talk is brought to you by Health First Community Health Centers, Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Katie's, Delicious Homemade Goodness, and Perry's Floors and More.
The doctor is in at Health First Community Health Center. Dr. Jamie Perry is ready to care for the community, providing primary care services at 1100 South Jefferson Street here in Princeton. Dr. Perry is accepting new patients and walk-ins are always welcome. At Health First Community Health Center, we are not just another doctor's office, we are your medical home. Call us toll-free at 1-877-667-7017.
And good morning and welcome to Tiger Talk at 8:04 on your hometown radio station, WPKY The Tiger. Have the pleasure of welcoming into our WPKY studios George Kilgore. And George is a member of the Princeton Optimist Club. And we have two very special guests this morning. And George, I'll let you introduce who we have in our studio.
We have Miss Gale Cherry and Mr. Cliff Jones. They are the Grand Marshals of this year's Black Patch activities, and one of the main responsibilities, I guess, of that is to kick off and lead out the parade, which is on Friday, September the 7th at 5 p.m. in downtown Princeton. Each year, the Optimist Club looks around our community and our area to pick a couple of individuals who have contributed in various ways. In the years past, we've had several well-deserved recipients and get a lot of, thanks for recognizing people like that. And this year is no different. Since we announced our Grand Marshals, we've had a lot of comments, and I think each one of them have been had some praise given to them. And the good thing about it, it's well-deserved, and we appreciate that. We look at people who have donated either to the Black Patch Heritage, to the festival itself, or to the history of the Night Riders, or to the community, whether it be, in this case, the ministry area that Brother Cliff's been in, or just various ways. And both of these individuals, if you look at their life, I've learned things about each one of their lives, as I do every year, that I did not know, how they have contributed to this community as well as others. And we'll start with the females, I guess. Miss Gale, she started back years ago working with the reenactment of the Night Riders, which is the history of the Black Patch Festival, how it all got started. If you've been around Princeton, Caldwell County a while, out in the Cobb area where a lot of Dr. Amos was at, a lot of his activities out there, the Amos House, she was very instrumental in putting on the reenactments. I remember as a younger person in this community going out and getting on the wagon and riding. And at that time, I'd heard about Black Patch, but Black Patch in my mind was coming to the street in September and seeing all the booths. But I found out a lot more about what Black Patch was through the reenactments that was out there, and really was amazed. And I feel like maybe our community needs to know more about that, because I know I learned a lot. You'd start and you get on the wagon and you'd go through, and people was in full costume, and Gale put that together and worked with that. And from what I understand, would still be doing that if she had the help and manpower to do it. But as everything else, it's sometimes it gets hard to get people to do it. And some of the ones, like I said, it was when I was younger. Some of the ones have moved on either physically or are not with us anymore.
That's true.
But we appreciate that in the recognition. Brother Cliff, 26 years. I was about to get him a little older there than he was. 26 years as pastor of the Princeton Christian Church. What a outstanding legacy there. In today's world, it's hard for anybody to stay somewhere very long and be well-liked and respected when they decide to leave. Just learning his history of how he was went into the ministry, called into that, and served different places, and ended up kind of maybe not looking to come to Princeton, but God led him here. and found a place, found a home, and was pastor there for 26 years, just recently retired. And I know their church, I've talked to some of their members even this week who are missing him drastically. And whenever the Optimist Club was talking about who to get for Grand Marshals, someone said Cliff Jones. Oh yeah, real nice guy, real quiet spoken. Just yes, we like him. Yes, well deserved. But learning different things about him, he's been active in this community in lots of various areas. He said that he had been kind of deemed at different times as the community pastor, and when you've been there for 26 years, it's that's a well-deserved title for that. With that, that's where we come from, is looking for who to be the Grand Marshals for this year's Black Patch Parade. We're honored that they did agree to do so. So, Ty, I'm not sure how you want to go from here. I'll turn it over, and y'all can, we'll just listen to the Grand Marshals some and hear what they have to say.
Well, I would just say let's start with Gale. And by the way, congratulations. What an honor. But let's talk a little bit about your history here with the town. And, of course, you're a former mayor. But let's talk about, especially with Black Patch, and how your interests and how it all came together with the Dr. Amos House and preserving that history for Caldwell County.
That's quite a long story and involves a tremendous number of people. When I came back to town, retired back here, I happened to buy the Historical Society and ran into Ann Kimmel, who said they were getting ready to move the Amos House to Trigg County. And she said, well, kids can't let that happen. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, well, I'll be on the committee, but I don't want to head it. And then that lasted about maybe a week, and suddenly I was in charge of doing that. So a tremendous number of people. If I start naming them, I'll miss some that are very important. But as George said, some have passed away now, and many of us have aged out of the process. And so we started collecting money and with volunteers, and we bought that house over there. Doris Thomas's brother, Blackburn, gave us the initial money to do that. So we did that, then spent, I guess, 2 years renovating the house, which is now, and was a museum for many years, and is now in the hands of someone who appreciates it and is going to restore it. Wow. So that's just marvelous. But then, of course, we had... The ride just kept getting larger and larger every year. And I think when we finished, we had 9 different scenes throughout that part of the county, and 32 actors, horses, mules, children. It just became a massive undertaking. And by the end, I know Billy Travis had stuck by me for years to get the tractors and so forth. And finally, when I said, Billy, I think this is the last one, he said, oh, thank the Lord. He said, I'm too old to be hauling these bales of hay around. But the farmers out there were marvelous for many years, and then it just became extremely difficult, and I ran out of energy, and I think everybody else did too that had been involved with it. But it was really a glorious experience for all of us who were involved. A
neat event, and of course very appropriate to sort of to highlight the history of what the Black Patch was all about, the Black Patch War, so to speak, with Dr. Amos and the revolt against the Duke family out of North Carolina. A lot of people don't know that history if they haven't read. Some of the good local authors like Judge Cunningham.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that history is a vital part of this area, and how really we got to celebrating the dark tobacco here in this county. But those folks were trying to preserve something very special to them, and then you brought that history back to life.
When I just think of the people who played Dr. Amos. Van Knight,
yes,
who was judge at the time, told me, he said, my favorite thing all year to do is come out here and play Dr. Amos.
Yeah.
And Bob Hart, Raymond Janina, all played it at different times.
Right.
And so we had so many people through the years from all over the community involved with it.
And it's good that we remember history and what it was all about, and then just on a cool fall night to get out there with the hay and the smells and the dedicated folks to bring that back to life. Just what a wonderful thing that was for you, and I know you miss it greatly. Tell us a little bit about, of course, you're a lifelong resident of not maybe Princeton. You've been here. You were here when you were a little girl, though, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah.
I graduated from high school
Yeah.
here, and then went away to college, and then married Mike Cherry, and off we went to see the world. I guess for 20-something years, or 25 years. And then our parents became ill, so we got out of the Navy a year early, and we came home to take care of them. And that's when I first met Cliff, and it was fortuitous for us at that point because we had two sick relatives, and he was there to help us, and I don't know what we'd done if he hadn't been there. So in addition to being honored by the Optimist Club, who do such a tremendous job here in town on the parade, being
Grand Marshal.
Marshal. That's just too big a word.
Yeah.
With Cliff, it makes this a very special time.
It is special, and before we go to Cliff and head that way, let's talk about your time as mayor of Princeton and your passion for the city. You dive right in with things that you get involved with as far as whether it's the history of Princeton, but when you were mayor of this town, you brought about lots of changes. You were instrumental in helping with the Main Street program. Of course, when Mr. Koltinsky came to town and said, let's paint it, you were like, yeah, let's do that. And the aesthetics of the town and the attitude of the town under your leadership seemed to change. There was a sense of pride here, and I know you're very proud of that, so let's talk about that for just a second.
I really was. I, unfortunately, can't seem to do things halfway, so I go in 100%, and after 8 years, I was completely worn out. I couldn't do it. But it was remarkable, the people who came forward to work on the town, and particularly Let's Paint the Town, which made us nationally recognized with, we went to several conventions. We were at the local governor's local issues conference last week, and I was able to present there to the rest of the state about the things that we had accomplished here. But make no mistakes, it's not one person. It's everybody getting behind you and bringing their talents to forward. You know, Rose and Garden did so much to help with paying for all the plants and so forth that came out at that time, and it's just been a joy. I like success. Whatever we're doing, I want everybody involved, and I want it to go.
Well, you were right there leading the charge and continue to do so, and that's why you're being honored here by the Princeton Optimist Club, so congratulations.
Thank you, Ty.
to you. Reverend Cliff, we get to you, and of course, you came into this town close to 30 years ago.
Close to 27 now.
Okay, so we're getting close. Moved here from Florida. You're originally from Iowa. Let's talk about your history here in Princeton, and you raised your family here. You pastored a church, a flock for many years, and again, somewhat not only pastored your church, but there were times that saw you outside your church just ministering to people around town. And that's pretty interesting, but you've touched a lot of lives here in Princeton. So let's talk about your time here since beginning almost 30 years ago and then coming to First Christian Church.
I was thinking about the fact that the comment was made by George about me being community pastor. Mm-hmm. I have preached at Central Presbyterian Church. I have preached at Ogden United Methodist Church. I have preached at Southside. I remember when I went to Southside Baptist, I went and said a joke at the beginning of the sermon and said it's nice to have a Christian in the pulpit. And
didn't go over
and that did not go over well. And I was thinking about the fact that, well, I was the pastor at First Christian, and there are two Christian churches, Crossroads Christian Church in Lewistown, in the county, but I was the only one in town, so
that's right.
I put it in that context is what I was thinking about, but it went slow. About 15 seconds into it, they started laughing. Yeah. And so that was kind of an embarrassing moment. Been a storyteller down at St. Paul Catholic Church, telling stories during the marketplace ministry. We've had ecumenical youth events with Ogden United Methodist, and we've also had lock-in at Central Presbyterian Church. I have done a wedding at First Baptist and have done a funeral at Ogden Memorial United Methodist Church. So, like I said, I am a community minister in the sense of being available to serve our community in various ways, besides being the pastor at First Christian.
And I think you're hitting on something very important there, and how, give us your take about how this community, the churches all work together, and how important that faith and church is to this little community.
Well, this community is a very, very strong faith-based church community. I've always thought it was interesting to see when I came up here to hear prayer being given at a school event, and because I came from South Florida, and so it was like that wasn't happening in South Florida, but in Princeton it does happen. And I expect still today that there be prayer given, and it's a community of diversity, different ideas, different thoughts, but there's still the central theme of Christ in the community. And that's important for the churches. And the pastors here have always worked well together. Sometimes there's some competition among the Baptists. I always joke about that and tease them. But it's been a case that there's really been a sense of positive things. And our ministerial association, I had the privilege of being president for a while for the Caldwell Ministerial Association, and then became treasurer, partly because Northside pastor moved and I received all the treasure books and said, here they are.
Right.
But that was interesting ministry, and Plus One was managed by the Caldwell ministerial ministry. And it's one of those situations where the Plus One is real simple to do. I'm going to make a commercial.
Tell us about that program.
Plus One is you put $1 on your electric bill.
Right.
So $12 a year you add to your electric bill, and the plant board will send us the check. And now it goes to Ogden United Methodist Church is where it goes to now. But it's a case that then we have an opportunity to serve the people who have a need. Sometimes it's medical needs or something like that suddenly they were hit with, bills that they can't pay, and electric gets on the side, and they're going to lose their electricity, and so we're able to pay that for them.
Right.
And so it's been a real blessing to the community to have that available to be able to help people. And Caldwell Ministerial Association has had funds that they've also used to help buy medicine for somebody that needed medicine, or maybe a medical chair or something like that someone needed. And so it's been a good ministry of opportunity for us in the community.
Certainly. You're from a small town in Iowa, a little bit bigger than Princeton.
A little bit bigger.
But I've seen pictures of it. You and I have been friends for many years. I attended your church. And let's talk a little bit about the similarities. You tell us about your small town in Iowa and how it, if you see any similarities between it and Princeton, and how that has formed you as a pastor and as a person.
I grew up in a community that was a commercial community for the farming around. We had a lot of Iowa farms, obviously, because Iowa was known for farming. But we also had the opportunity to sit there and serve our community there with, retail-wise. And it was kind of a retail center with a lot of wonderful stores downtown.
Your dad had a store.
My dad had a furniture store for 50-some years.
Wow.
He finally sold it when he was 72 years old, and he's 91 now. But he kept working. He couldn't quit. He just worked until he finally said, okay, it's time to quit. But we came up Highway 139, driving into Princeton. And I'm looking at the community, the farms out there, and the rolling hills and such as I'm coming in. And I'm thinking, this looks like Iowa. Which means it's heaven.
Heaven?
It's heaven,
Oh, it's Iowa.
If you watch the movie.
Yeah.
But it was a case that's what we felt so comfortable coming into our community, and to see this opportunity, to see a community that was very, very similar. Schools were strong here in the community. I had excellent education in Iowa, and so I was expecting to see the same thing in Princeton, and was pleased. Our children have all graduated from Caldwell County, and it's been a good experience for them. We have our daughter Brooke, that still lives in the community, lives with us, and then we have a son, Curtis, who's now living in Paducah. And we have a daughter that lives in Clarksville,
right,
Tennessee.
and you've made this your home. So
It is our home.
your service and everything, and I was going to mention to Gale, both of you all are active in civic clubs. Gale is a longtime Rotarian. You are a longtime Kiwanian. Gale, what is that's another outlet that you've been able to serve this community in. Tell us a little bit about the Rotary Club and your activities there.
My father was a Rotarian and I don't think he missed a meeting for 40 years. So wherever we were in the United States or overseas, he would want to find a Rotary Club. And if he couldn't find one, he would come back and do he'd go to Dawson, and he'd do 2 meetings a week. So I was raised with Rotary. And so eventually, of course, it opened up to women, which was fortuitous. We laugh now. We've got quite a woman's Rotary Club here.
Yeah.
I was at district meeting recently, and they were saying, well, sometimes we have trouble recruiting women. And I said, well, that is not our problem, for sure.
But you've worked hard and tirelessly on that yourself.
I did, but women have connections to other women all over the place.
That's
so
right.
It has been just a joy. And it's a variety of people, young, old, and I've enjoyed that.
It's a great
because
club.
many of the younger ones I would never have met in the run-of-the-mill thing, but they have proven to be great fun. And it gives us an opportunity to assist the community. I think we built 23 beds this year for kids in the
Yes.
community who needed them. So we've got a very active and some people who are really handy with their hands. So that's just been a great joy to me. I've loved it.
What is it about Princeton? You've lived all over the world. You lived here, but what do you think it is about Princeton that seems to draw people back here, whether they go off and they pursue their career and their life, and they seem to sometimes be drawn back here, or even a young person now, because I know you hear things, well, there's not a whole lot for young people to do around here, but yet a lot of young people are being good, productive citizens here in Princeton. What do you think it is about Princeton that draws us all here and keeps us here?
For me, coming back here, I've been amazed. I've never been bored one single minute. There is so much to be in. As Harold Greenfield said to me one time, precious man, but he said, I went into Peggy's Cafe, and Harold looked like he'd been drugged through the mud. I said, Harold, what's wrong? He said, you got to be in real good health to retire here, Gale. And I said, no
What a great
kidding.
statement. What a great statement.
So there's so much. I've gotten involved in hunting since I've been here.
Right.
I kayak all the time.
You're
so
an avid outdoors woman, aren't you?
I am. But the other thing is I have about 25 classmates, and we were talking, one of them and I were talking last night. We have 2 of us in the hospital, and we take care of each other.
Right.
And that has been, and for retirement, we were saying, I wonder which will be the last one standing that's taking care of all the rest of us. But that has been a tremendous joy. And most of these guys were in elementary school with me.
Isn't that something?
And we are still, even though we may not see each other all month, we meet once a month for lunch. And
Cool.
we're close. And we say I love you to each other every time we're on the phone.
That's awesome.
Which is just, that has been
It's
one of the
important,
things. It is. The roots are important.
And that's what this is all about. I think that's what this festival is all about, this Heritage Festival. It's all about our roots. It's all about community. It's all about, being downtown. George and I, we talk about it a lot.
Yes.
And you get chills and kind of get a little tear in your eye thinking about it because it's very emotional. You get downtown, you might see somebody that you haven't seen in 30 years down there in Black Patch, but you might see somebody that you see every single day. But it's still special to walk up and down the streets of our little town, smell the air, smell the and listen to the sounds, and just take it all in. But it's a fellowship. It's like the whole town's down there.
That's what I've always said about Black Patch. People say, well, it's the same thing every year.
That's okay.
A lot of it is the same thing every year.
And that's okay.
We tend to eat every day.
Why not?
But anyway, to me, it's the time for the community to get together and just visit. As being down there all day long, one of my favorite pastimes of the day is just back up against a building and just watch people visit.
Find some shade, though, right?
Find some shade. and do that, because you'll see people just laughing, maybe slapping each other on the back, and a hug every once in a while. And it may be the only time you see some of the people a year, because Black Patch people turn out for it.
They
And
do.
but it's to me, instead of looking, well, what can I buy? It's not really a time for me personally that I'm going to go shopping. Now, when I'm there, I might find something that I like, or hey, that would be neat to have. But to me, the whole basis of Black Patch is the community to come together and just visit and see each other and recognize some folks like this. These two individuals here, and also a time for a lot of our local groups maybe to have a little fundraiser.
Sure.
We're talking about churches and different things. We've got several that's going to be passing out literature, free water, and just stop by the booths and see people. It's just a time, a community activity to get together and visit.
And you know what? It's a time to we don't have everything here in Princeton. Sometimes you have to drive to get things, but it is a time, I think, to sit back and assess what we do have and realize that we're blessed in many ways. And you look around and see these friends and family, these folks. These are people, they're your friends, but they're almost like your family because this is a tight-knit community. And I think we see it daily in this little community when crisis strikes or a family has something horrible happen to them. This community rallies around families here, and there's no place really like it that I've seen. I mean, I know there's little towns all across America, and I'm sure they have the same things going on, but this is a special place.
Like Gail was saying, her group of friends, they call each other and talk. And one thing that I was impressed with talking with Cliff when we first started talking, he mentioned that he'll be sitting at home and somebody will knock on his door, and he'll go to the door and he'll in his mind,
he doesn't know who they are.
Who are you?
Yeah.
But it's somebody that knows him in this community, and they would just say, "I need to talk."
Yeah.
And from what he has shared and others have shared about him, he is a good person to do that with. That will talk to you, will listen and give counsel, and just be there for the community. I enjoy hearing that story. If you'd like to share something like that, but to me, that was impressive. The first something I really didn't know that he shared. So, Cliff, would you like to address that?
It's been one of my ministries that I just never planned for, but it's been an opportunity to serve and to be available. Since I retired, I've only had one drop-in visit.
I'll drop in one of these days.
You're always welcome.
I think you thought that's what I was doing whenever I come to ask you about being Grand Marshal.
I wasn't thinking about yours. But no, it's been one of those kind of things that it's been not abnormal at all to have somebody come by to say, I need a visit. I ended up having a ministry to our military that I never ever planned on. I became better educated, went to seminars and made sure to find out and discover what that was about to help the military. But it's been one of those things that so many had served in Afghanistan or in Iraq, and they have come home and they're in the Christian environment that they're in, and they sit there and say, but what I did was not Christian. And I've had to sit there and help them walk through that journey to find out that, you're still a Christian. You were under orders and you had to do things in a military setting that I know felt foreign to you because of who you are. But that was part of our ministry and it's happened probably once a month.
Wow.
Over the years.
Wow.
And, of course, the church, same thing. When people would catch me at the church and they'd come in to visit. And I always laughed about the fact, I said, I think I was a Baptist counselor, but I send my people to Presbyterian church. So
Send them over to Reverend Godshow.
Yes.
That's great. And Gail, you active at Central Presbyterian Church too. You're an elder there, and
as was my mother, by the way, which is very. And I just remembered she was a princess in the 30s for the Black Patch.
That's so
parade.
cool.
Isn't that something?
That is so cool.
I had forgotten about all of that, but yeah.
So that means a lot too for this community, but. It's going to be so nice, and we encourage everyone to Friday night, September the 7th. George, tell us a little bit about the details of the parade and how it's all going to work.
For the parade, we call it kind of an old-fashioned hometown parade. You don't have to sign up ahead of time. You don't have to pay anything to be a part of it. You just show up down at the Butler parking lot by 4:30. We like to get everyone lined up so we'll know exactly and have some order to do. Now, at precisely 5 o'clock, we kick off. They start out with that, and everybody is welcome to be a part of this parade. In fact, we encourage people, local businesses, civic clubs, groups, church groups, school groups. All that we ask is you identify who you are. Because I know a lot of times, hopefully this year, the radio will be broadcasting live on that. And it's kind of hard to broadcast a parade whenever you got a vehicle coming through there and you might not know.
Vehicle.
Yeah, here comes the vehicle.
Right.
Just identify who you are and let us know. And it's a good chance for a business to showcase maybe some of their products. And, just anyone's welcome to be a part of that. We don't award any prize money. There's no best vehicle or best anything in it. It's just a parade. It's just a time to get there and to showcase our local community. We usually have a wonderful turnout for the Black Patch Parade, and we just always trust and hope for good weather that day. I think a couple of times we've had to reschedule at the last minute, but most of the time it's cleared up. I remember one year at 4:30 it looked like the radar we was fixing to get zapped, and then it just disappeared. And at 5 o'clock we had the kickoff. But the parade, it runs down through Main Street, then it circles down on Franklin and back up Market. These two individuals, I think they have decided to ride together this year. In times past, each Grand Marshal had their own vehicle. But one thing I've learned, and you're talking about it being a close-knit community, I had no idea whenever we picked these two individuals that they was closely intertwined about their lives. And last year we had the same thing with Twyman and Richard Jones. Yes, that they had shared so much together. So it seems like it just kind of comes together. But and just speaking and listening to these two talk to each other, they go back a long way, close. And with that said, they said, we'd like to ride together if that's all right.
That's great.
And
I said that. I don't know if Cliff wanted to ride or not. I just wanted to ride with Cliff.
I look better when Gale's with me.
Well, and they haven't revealed yet what they're riding in, but definitely we want to encourage you to come down and line the streets of Princeton and salute these folks for their work here in this community, and recognize them as the Grand Marshals, because it's a lifelong love and effort and just spirit that these folks have contributed to this community.
And they have said that they've had several contacts, but we want to encourage you over the next couple of weeks, if you see either one of these individuals, just take a little time and say, thank you. We appreciate what you did, because a lot of us, me included, we may appreciate something and think, well, I ought to just tell them sometime how much I appreciate what they've done to this community and for this community and around, but we just don't take the time to do that. So we encourage you, if you see either one of these individuals or maybe somebody else in the community, just say, I just need to tell them thank you. Yeah. We appreciate it. So it's an opportunity to do that. And from the Princeton Optimist Club, we want to say thank you all for agreeing to be Grand Marshals. And you were honored that you agreed to do that. We're glad to have you this year.
Well deserved. And thank you so much for being here and sharing a little bit of your stories here on WPKY. And if you're out there listening, we've live streamed this, and if you'd like to go back and hear more about our Grand Marshals this year, you can go to WPKYonline.com and check out this interview. And of course, we certainly encourage you to line the streets of Princeton Friday afternoon, 5 o'clock, as our Black Patch Parade gets underway. And of course, Saturday downtown on September the 8th, you can begin it all at the Kiwanis Club Pancake Breakfast, and then enjoy a full day of activities down at the Black Patch Heritage Festival put on by the Princeton Optimist Club, among many others in downtown Princeton. And be on the lookout, too. I think the brochure is going to be out there for the...
Hopefully we'll have our booklets out today.
The booklets.
And it does have articles on each one of the Grand Marshals.
Yes.
And you mentioned Kiwanis Club. Cliff is a Kiwanis.
He's a Kiwanian.
I'll be doing breakfast.
He'll be doing breakfast.
Down at breakfast.
He'll be down there doing breakfast. But the booklet should be out today. Hopefully they'll be out and has information, the schedule of activities, and tells about the Black Patch Festival itself.
And time winding down to get your application in if you'd like to have a booth. And there are applications here at WPKY. You can see a Princeton Optimist Club member, George, as well as City Hall. They still down there?
Correct. Yes.
And ideally by the 25th, you need to get those applications in. And if not, there's a $10, I think, late fee after that.
After this coming Saturday, we're going to go ahead and assign booths.
Okay.
So everybody that's got an application in by this Saturday will be assigned a booth on the street. After that, if we get applications afterwards, there will be a $10 late fee on that, and also they'll be assigned where there's no one assigned yet.
Right.
So, we really need to know who's planning on being there. Even if you've been there for 200 years, we still need to hear from you that you're planning on being there and get that application in so we can get everything ready for the day. A lot of planning goes into getting the day together.
It certainly does, and we encourage everyone to participate and have a good time with this year's Black Patch, which is parade, of course, Friday night, September the 7th, 5 o'clock, downtown Princeton, and, of course, our Black Patch Heritage Festival beginning during the day on Saturday, downtown Princeton.
Over 2 weeks away.
Just about 2 weeks away. Thank you all so much for your dedication to this community, your love for this community, and congratulations being Grand Marshals, co-Grand Marshals for this year's Black Patch Parade.
You, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
All right. That's going to wrap up this edition of Tiger Talk here on your hometown radio station, 103.3 FM and 1580 AM WPKY, The Tiger. Thank you so much for joining us for our program today. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Will be our extension program, and we'll be on at 8 o'clock in the morning. On behalf of George Kilgore, Gale Cherry, and Cliff Jones, thank you so much. And again, this interview will be uploaded to the WPKY online site. If you're just catching it here at the end, it's our Princeton Optimist Club Black Patch Grand Marshals for our parade, and that will be Friday evening, September 7th at 5 o'clock, and right before the festivities of the Black Patch Heritage Festival on Saturday, September 8th in downtown Princeton. 8:39. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Cadiz is the place to shop for